My father grabbed my 9-year-old daughter by the shoulder and pulled her out of her chair. At the Christmas dinner table, in front of everyone, she didn't scream.
She didn't fight back.
She just looked at him, confused, and then looked at me, waiting for someone to tell her this wasn't real. Nobody did. My father straightened up, smoothed his collar, and said it like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. That seat belongs to my real grandchild. Leave. The table went silent. 12 people. Not one of them moved. My mother stared at her plate. My sister looked at the wall. My brother shifted in his seat like he was trying to disappear into it.
And me?
I just stood there, holding a casserole dish, watching my daughter stand alone by the wall in her Christmas dress. Before we continue with this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Here's what none of them knew. 3 days before that dinner, I had received an email. An email that told me exactly what my father had been doing behind my back, and exactly how far he was willing to go to erase my daughter from this family. I didn't explode. I didn't cry. I had already decided what I was going to do. Lily didn't cry. That was the part that broke me. She just stood by the wall with her hands folded in front of her, still wearing the little red headband she'd picked out herself that morning, because she wanted to look nice for Grandpa Gerald's house. That's what she called him. Grandpa Gerald. Every single time. Let me take you back 6 months. When I adopted Lily, my father showed up to the courthouse in a press suit. He smiled in every photo. He shook the judge's hand. On the surface, perfect grandfather energy. But he never once called her by her name. It was always your girl or the little one. Never Lily. Never my granddaughter. I noticed. I told myself it was just his personality. Cold, formal, old-fashioned. I made excuses for him the way you do when you love someone and don't want to see what's right in front of you. Then my brother Ryan announced his wife was pregnant. And my father lit up in a way I had never seen before. Suddenly, there were trust fund conversations, estate planning meetings, and a chair, an actual chair, being symbolically reserved at family events for a baby that hadn't even been born yet. That's when I should have known. But it was the phone call, the one I wasn't supposed to hear, that changed everything. I stood up slowly. No raised voice. No shaking hands. The entire table watched me like I was a grenade with the pin already pulled. I looked at my father and asked him, quietly, clearly, to explain what he had just said. He didn't apologize. He didn't backtrack. He pulled his napkin off his lap, set it on the table, and said it plainly. He was restructuring the family estate around blood heirs only. Ryan's baby would be the primary beneficiary. Lily's presence at family milestones was, and I'm using his exact words, a confusion of priorities. At the Christmas dinner table, with Lily standing 6 feet away, hearing every word, Sandra stared at her food. Diane looked at the ceiling. Ryan's wife set her fork down slowly and didn't pick it back up. That's when I reached into my bag. I placed a document on the table. Lily's official adoption finalization papers, which I had brought for a completely different reason. But right there, in black and white, was a clause I read aloud without raising my voice even once. Under state law, an adopted child holds identical legal standing to a biological child in all matters of inheritance. My father had written a new will. I had the law. And then I said 4 words. Those 4 words weren't a threat. They weren't dramatic. They were just a door closing. We're done here, Dad. And the room shattered. Not loudly. That's the thing about real moments. They don't always come with screaming. Diane covered her mouth with both hands. Ryan looked down at the table. And my father, this man who had controlled every room he'd ever walked into, went completely still. Not from anger. From something I had never seen on his face before.
Fear.
Because he knew something the rest of the table didn't. 3 days earlier, the family's estate attorney had contacted me directly. He had reviewed the revised will and flagged language that explicitly referenced Lily's adopted status as grounds for exclusion. He told me this was legally problematic, potentially discriminatory under adoption law, and that he had already filed a preliminary inquiry with the state bar for ethical guidance. My father had tried to erase my daughter quietly, on paper, in legal language, where he thought no one would ever look. The law had already noticed. Sandra's voice broke the silence. Not to defend him. She said, "I told him not to do this." Then Lily reached into her coat pocket. She placed a handmade Christmas card on the table, right in front of Gerald, took my hand, and walked out with me. Let me tell you what had actually been happening. 6 weeks before Christmas, my father had met privately with his estate attorney to rewrite his will. He removed Lily by name, not by omission, by name, and cited her adopted status as the reason. What he didn't know was that his own attorney found that language legally indefensible. Adopted children cannot be discriminatorily excluded from inheritance under our state law. The attorney reached out to me directly. That was the email. That was what I had been carrying into that dinner. In the car afterward, Lily asked me if Grandpa Gerald didn't love her. I didn't lie to her. I said, "Some people have walls we can't climb. That has nothing to do with you." It never did. I held it together until she fell asleep in the back seat. Then I pulled over and cried for 20 minutes, not from pain, but from the overwhelming relief of finally being done pretending. The will was successfully challenged. Gerald's attorney cooperated fully. Diane quietly stopped attending Sunday dinners at her parents' house. Ryan and his wife called 2 weeks later, not to apologize for Gerald, but to ask if they could meet Lily.
Separately. Just them. We said yes.
Sandra left a voicemail. I still haven't listened to it. On New Year's Eve, Lily and I hosted our own dinner. Small table.
Right people.
She made decorations by hand and hung them herself. At the center of the table, she placed an empty picture frame. When I asked her why, she said, "It's for the new memories. The ones we're going to make now." I took a photo of it. That became our Christmas card the following year.